have the missions. Go ahead,
Okay.
Irene.
Our mission, Helping Parents Heal, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting bereaved parents to become shining light parents by providing support and resources to aid in the healing process. We go a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and evidence for the afterlife in a non-dogmatic way. Affiliate groups welcome everyone, regardless of religious or non-religious background. Attendance today at this meeting is voluntary, and we are here for the benefit of learning from and sharing with other parents whose child has passed away. It is understood that our discussions are intended to be confidential and not designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. However, these Zoom meetings are helpful to parents all around the world, and they are posted on YouTube so that affiliate members who are not able to attend this meeting live can also watch. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers to allow parents to be informed about many possible ways to heal, to connect with their children, and to learn about the afterlife. The views expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect those of Helping Parents Heal, and we ask that you take from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally. Thank you. Welcome, everyone.
Yes, thank you for being here, and thank you, Michelle, for being here. It's such an honor to have her here with us. Every time that she comes, she's just so beautiful, and she spreads so much light. I feel very grateful that she's presented in our own meetings here in Phoenix. But I'm going to read her bio very quickly. As a successful evidential medium and intuitive coach, I help my clients overcome many different obstacles. It is my passion to lovingly empower, direct, and validate each person. Clients have their own life story, their own life plan, and their own loved ones who have passed. I help my clients find peace, understanding, and equip them with tools to reconnect with their loved ones who have transitioned, as well as move forward with their personal life goals and ambitions. It is my intention that each person I read will find inspiration, comfort, and understand that we are not living this life alone. We are being helped and guided from the other side. If we could see souls instead of bodies, the illusion that our loved ones have disappeared would vanish. And you can learn more about Michelle at www.michelleclare.com. And without further ado, please join me in welcoming Michelle Clare. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. It is such an honor and a pleasure to be here with you tonight. I'm really excited to be here. I was talking to Elizabeth this morning and I was trying to decide, was I going to be talking about my near-death experiences, because I've had 3, or were we going to be talking about connecting with your loved ones in spirit and how to make your own connection with your kids? And then I kind of opened it up and I felt a unanimous from your kids say both. We need to talk about both. So we're going to go over both tonight. The part about my near-death experiences, and I'll go into some detail about the 3 of them for you, but the part that's so important that your kids told me this is why you need to hear about it is because more than anything, they want you to know that they are at peace, that they are home in a place filled with love and compassion, and that they are beyond okay. And so from my 3 near-death experiences, I've come to know that place, and it's an amazing place. So very quickly, with my first near-death experience, that happened in April 2006. I was in the hospital that day visiting my sister-in-law because she had just given birth to my niece. And one of my friends from high school was her RN. So I was out in the hallway talking to her. While I was talking to her, I had a massive seizure. And the next thing I remember is waking up with my head in my grandma's lap. And my grandma had transitioned about 2 years, I believe, before this. And I woke up and I was laying there and I could see my grandma. And she looked like the youngest, healthiest version of grandma that I could remember. And I was feeling so much love and completeness. And I grew up feeling loved, but I had never felt this amount of love in my whole life. And as I looked around, I realized I was in this room and the walls were white, but they were alive. So It was as if every cell or molecule in these walls were radiating light and love. And as I just kind of sat there and took it in, I looked up, and standing next to my grandmother was this 12-foot tall angel. I had always believed in angels. I had no idea they were that big. And I remember looking at her, and she was radiant, glowing. And I remember going to look at her wings because I was expecting to see these huge feather wings. And what I saw was this beautiful iridescent light that was flowing and shimmering. And it almost seemed to span eternity. I never saw the end of it, but they kind of moved like the aurora borealis would, and the colors kind of came in and out. And as I was looking at her and sitting here in the presence, just overwhelmed, I thought in my head, what is your name? And she answered me in my head. She said, my name is Madeline. And I remember being a little surprised because I wasn't realizing at that moment they were telepathic. And as she answered me, I just immediately knew she was one of my guardian angels, and I was just enveloped in so much love. The next thing I knew, I was back in my body, and I heard them yelling, code, code, code. And I was really surprised at how heavy my body was. My arm felt like it weighed 100 pounds. And so I was back in my body, and it took me probably a couple of weeks to talk about that with my mom because I didn't know where to go with that. And I had never heard of a near-death experience before. I just knew without a doubt I had been with my grandma and this amazing angel. And for me, this was an awareness that came in, and now I knew, like, angels were real. I believed it, but I knew they were so much more than I had ever even imagined that they could be. So that's my first near-death experience. These are in a nutshell too, because I don't want to spend the whole hour talking about them. But the second near-death experience was in May 2006, and in April I had my son, and he was my third and my last child that I had. And during that, after I had him, I was in and out of the hospital for about 6 weeks with infection and fever. So they would admit me, put me on IV antibiotics. About 5 days later, I'd go home for a day or two and then end up back in the hospital. So this went on for 6 weeks. And finally, at the 6-week mark, they said, we need to do a D&C, which is basically where they surgically clean out the uterus. They didn't know if a piece of placenta had been left or something along those lines. The night before, I had this gut feeling that I should not do it, but I was so tired of being sick that I just wanted to override that. They told me it would be an outpatient procedure, 45 minutes. So I went ahead and I went in, and the next morning I still had that gut feeling that I shouldn't do it, but I did. And what I remember from this near-death experience, I remember counting backwards from the anesthesiologist. And I'll tell you, I had had surgeries before. And whenever I've had anesthesia before this, it was just gone. There were no dreams. It was just like a piece of time that was taken. So I remember counting backwards. And the next thing I remember from that is I have this beautiful white German Shepherd named Tahoe. And she had transitioned a couple years before that. And she would always at night come in, lay her head on the bed, look around, check, make sure everybody was okay. We would laugh. It was like she did her little nightly guard dog duties, checking on everybody all night. And as I'm under anesthesia, I can clearly see, more clearly actually and more vivid than right now in this reality, her walk into the operating room, lay her head on my gurney, and the next thing I know, we're gone. We are just gone. And we are on a phenomenal beach. It's amazing. The ocean is alive. Every drop of water is alive. The air is alive. The plants are alive. Once again, there's no time here. I can tell it was just each step and each breath. And I felt so complete, so loved, and so whole. And as I looked at her, she was young, healthy, vibrant, almost glowing in a beautiful, healthy glow type way. And we were having, once again, telepathic communication or energy exchange, where I knew she was so happy to see me. She had missed me and I had missed her. And we're running on this beach and we're running. And I noticed the sand doesn't feel hard when I run on it like it would on the beach. It almost felt like I was running on clouds. And so we're running and running. And I also become aware we're not hot, we're not tired, we're not thirsty. The funny part about this is my human Michelle hates to run. And I often tell people, if you ever see me running, call 911, that's an emergency. Like, I don't do that for fun. So it's really ironic that my near-death experience, I'm just running on the beach, loving every minute of it. But as we are running and running on this beach, this is my near-death experience where I become aware that as a soul, we can be in more than one place at a time. And at this point in time, I become aware that my son, who's 6 weeks old and at home, is really scared because he knows I'm leaving. And I find myself energetically pulled to him. And it wasn't that I heard words or an intimate voice. It was the energy that he was almost telepathically communicating with me. And I remember coming to him and I remember saying, I will find a way to stay. And at that moment, I start praying. And I start asking for a miracle. And I start saying, it's not my time. I'm not ready. My kids still need me. I need to stay. And I remember at that point in time, feeling the presence of Jesus. I remember seeing the operating room light up with this beautiful light. And then the next thing I know, I was in the post-op and I looked at the clock on the wall and it was 3.5 hours later. And so I knew something had gone wrong. And what the doctor told me was while they were in there, they actually ruptured my uterus and missed my aorta by 1 millimeter. It was so close they couldn't even stitch it. They had to pack it. And so they called in an emergency laparoscopic surgeon. And while he was in there, there was a second rupture to the uterus. And so a couple of days later, the surgeon came into my room and he said, Michelle, you were really lucky. There was someone watching over you. You should not be here today. And I remember just knowing that literally I was able to usher in this miracle and pray and ask for help, and that help came. And that what was really interesting for me was in my first near-death experience, I got to know I was always a believer in things bigger than myself. I was raised Catholic. I believed in angels, saints, Jesus, God, all of it. But in my first near-death experience, I got to meet one of my guardian angels. In my second one, I actually felt Jesus there giving me a miracle, which takes me to my third one, which happened in 11/1/11, so November 1st, 2011. People who like numbers, that's a lot of ones. But I was on a ladder in my kitchen. We have 14-foot ceilings in my house, and I have battery operated candles. So every 6 weeks or so, I would change the batteries and they pop on every night at 5 o'clock, glow for 5 hours and then turn off. And 2 of my 3 kids were home. My oldest, so they were 5, 8, and 10 at that point in time. And I told my younger 2, as soon as I put this candle back up here, we're going to go get your brother or your sister from school. She was in an after school program. So I climbed up to the top of the ladder. I was probably about 10 feet up. And at that point in time, I felt the ladder start to shift. And I remember thinking, well, this is going to hurt. Like it was the fastest thought, but I just knew this is going to hurt. And at that moment, I was literally ripped out of my body, not in a painful way, but I was taken out so quickly. And I was turned and I was facing, and I could see my body and the ladder suspended in the air. And then all of a sudden I was aware of these 3 people around me, 2 men and a woman. And I could feel the timelessness. I could feel the completeness, the unconditional love. And I looked at them and I remember one was a Hawaiian man, one was an Asian man, and the woman was Egyptian. And I remember looking at them and knowing that I didn't know them in this life, but yet they felt like really close friends or family. Like I felt like I knew them really well, even though I didn't recognize their faces. And I was standing there with them, looking at my body in the ladder. And they said to me, well, what would you like to do? Would you like to stay or would you like to go? And I remember thinking, this is like crazy because my body is going to hit the floor in less than a second. And I felt like I had forever to decide, did I want to stay or did I want to go? And as I was watching and trying to decide and thinking, and it was interesting because I was really felt pulled between human and spirit at that moment. I saw this other huge, beautiful angel come in on the opposite side of the ladder. And as I saw this angel, it's not the same one that I saw in my first near-death experience. I was very much aware that this angel had just come in to either take me home or find a way for me to stay. And I knew that was exactly the purpose of this angel. And as I was standing there with these three people who felt like family, I was trying to decide, well, gosh, what am I going to do? And how do I have forever to decide when I know my body's going to hit the ground really quickly? And at that moment, I saw my younger two kids who were at home, and I knew I had to stay. And as I chose to stay, I felt like I was downloaded with a million pieces of information in an instant. And it was something along the lines of, trying to sum it up for you, Michelle, yeah, you can stay, but we expect more of you. We expect you to use your gifts to help people. Like, being a mom is amazing, and we know you think that's your only purpose, but you've got a couple others here you need to work on too. And really bringing all of that in, and just knowing that I felt like there were so many levels of information given to me at one time. And to this day, I'm not even sure that I remember it all. I just know that I came back knowing things were going to be different. My life had a bigger purpose than I realized, just like all of our lives have a bigger purpose than we realize, and that there was more for me to do. And so I was back in my body. I fell. I hit the back of my head on the corner of my granite kitchen island. So I had a 5.5-inch skull fracture up the back straight up. I had a brain bleed on the front lobe. I lost my taste, my smell, part of my hearing, part of my vision, and my equilibrium. And when I got to the hospital, when they did the CAT scan, what they found was I survived the fall by 1/2 inch, because I had missed my brainstem by 1/2 inch. And I knew without a doubt that was the angel that had moved my head so that I would be able to survive. And it took weeks, months, actually years. I still go to cranial sacral therapy of recovering. So I'm going on 10 years and I'm still recovering from this. But what happened then that led me stronger into the mediumship after that, because I had always gotten information mostly from my grandfather, who had transitioned when I was 12. And when I was 12, I would tell my mom what he would say, and my mom would say, well, I know you think that's what he would say if he was still here. So I kind of learned, hey, my conversation with grandpa is just between the two of us, and I'm not really going to share it. So I had always had this open connection with him and my grandma when they passed, but I never felt like I needed to share that information after that conversation with my mom. And so let's fast forward to January 2012. This was a couple months after my accident. And we believed that my younger two kids, we knew they had called 911. My son, who was 5 at the time, had tried to call, but his call had not gone through. And we didn't know if he had dialed 911 in the trauma of the moment or what had happened. And so the end of January, my son Josh started getting very, very depressed. And he would tell me, my mom, my mother-in-law, anyone who would listen, he would say, I didn't need to be there. I did nothing to help my mom when she got hurt. Sophie could have done it without me. And we would say, Josh, you opened the door for the policeman. Like, you helped, you let them in. And we were really trying to build him up, and we could not find the right words. So the end of January is the first huge mediumship experience I have after my head injury. My grandfather, who passed away when I was 12, comes into me, and he's talking to me, and he's talking about my head injury. He talks about my son, Josh. So they never walked this earth at the same time at all. And he talks about him being really good with electronics. And before he leaves, he says to me, Michelle, you need to get the 911 recording. There's something on there you should know. And I had not thought about that. I actually didn't even know I could do that, and no one had mentioned it. So I went down and I got it. It took a couple weeks to come in, and it came in, and I played it, and I heard them say, 911, what's your emergency? And my son Josh, in his little broken voice, says, Sophie, what do I say? And then he lays the phone down. So I believe he called immediately, right when the trauma was really fresh. And for the next minute and a half, you can hear the 911 operator trying to get their attention. And then he says he's going to push the panic alarm button on the house. And my daughter, Sophie, who's 8, says, hold on, let me try to call 911 first. She hangs up the phone. and her call goes through, and they actually dispatch her to the fire department. So she's telling them what she's seeing as they're driving there. When he got home from kindergarten that day, I said to him, I said, Josh, your call went through. Help was coming. And it was like I had lifted this 10,000-pound weight off this 5-year-old little boy, because he knew he had helped me. And so at that point in time, watching him change and be happy, we would go out to eat. The server would say, how's your day? He'd say, great, my 911 call went through. And they'd be like, okay, like, you know, they did not know how to respond to that. But seeing firsthand how this amazing information could come through and change the life of someone I loved so much, I realized I needed to get on track, and I needed to start bringing these messages to others. And it was somewhat a choice, and it also somewhat seemed to just start happening. So I started looking for people to mentor from, people to help me understand where to go with this, because I knew the connection was real. I knew the life change was real. And from my 3 near-death experiences, what I found out in my last one, the 3 people standing with me were my life guides. But that was a word I had never heard. I didn't even know we had life guides. So it was really important to me to be able to share that we have angels, we have life guides, we have loved ones who are connected to us right here in this present moment. And we're not living this life alone. And the illusion of that connection ending is truly an illusion, because it will always continue on. It will look different, but your loved ones are as connected to you today as they were the day that they were still in their body. And so I want to tell you, that's so important. And what I love about mediumship is that I get to share that with people when they come to me. And the thing is too about mediumship, I'll be honest, we all have this gift. You have to have a soul to have it. It's not a gift that just the elite people have. That's not how it works. Everybody has this gift. And I would tell you also, I feel like everyone has had spiritual experiences in their life. They might narrow it down to 1 or 2 things, or 3, maybe 10, but life is spiritual, because you are a spirit having a human experience. So life is spiritual. And what we do really good in our human form is we talk ourselves out of the signs, the connections, and the spiritual side of it, because we want it to be logical. Spirit's not always logical in our human mind. They're always logical in the spiritual form, but not necessarily to the human form. And so I would tell you, one of the biggest things is quit talking yourself out of the signs you're receiving from your loved ones. They are truly signs. Just last week, it was my mom's birthday. Okay, not a coincidence. It was her birthday. On that day, the radio in my dad's house went on by itself. And of course, what does my dad do? He texts me and he says, are you messing with me? My radio just came on. I'm like, Dad, that is clearly Mom. That is not me messing with your radio from Phoenix. He lives in Tucson, you know? So it's just so funny, because even my dad, as much as he's in on all of this, still questions it, that my mom could actually turn the radio on without him, you know, knowing and get his attention. So number 1, do not discount your signs. They are real. They are real. I promise you, your loved ones are every bit today as connected to you as they were before they transitioned. And in some cases, they're more connected to you, because they're not distracted by the human form. They're not distracted by, I've got to go to work, I've got to go to school, I'm hungry, I have a headache. The human things that weigh us down, spirit doesn't have to deal with. And so your loved ones, in a lot of cases, are more connected to you today than they were when they were in body, because they're not tied down to this earthly plane. The other thing I want to talk about is a lot of times people worry. And, you know, I'll be honest with you. When I first started mediumship, I was like, oh gosh, what if I have a reading and no one shows up for this person? That doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Your loved ones show up, your angels show up, your life guides show up, you know? So I used to worry about that. What if my client comes and no one comes? That's not what happens. Now, I will say, sometimes I have stronger connections than other times. So for your loved ones, this is going to lead us into the connecting with your loved ones, right? They communicate differently on the other side than they do here. And a lot of times when I'm going into reading, what I'll explain to people is I get most of my information through feelings. So you have to think of it as like looking at someone that you know really well, and you know what they're going to say before they say it. Or what about the time when you looked at your kid and you thought, or your dog or your whoever, and you thought, I think they're getting sick. And then 10 minutes later, they throw up on the floor, right? You knew it without knowing it, right? So this is the energy that I work with as a medium. Sometimes I'll hear words, sometimes I'll see things and physically feel things, but the communication is different for me, and it's going to be different for them over there. So some of them are really good at showing me pictures and giving me feelings or things like that. And others do it differently. Maybe they do words, or it just is. So it's an energetic connection. I want to talk to you though now, because they're telling me it's time to start talking about the connection. So here are some things. Number one, when you're connecting with your kids, I promise you, they are all sending you signs. Look for the signs. You're going to find what you're looking for. So the other thing too is be open. Sometimes you just have to be open. Your sign really might be that billboard and that one sentence on the billboard that says, whatever, live your best life, or I'm always with you, or whatever this says. There are many, many ways. The way that it works when they send signs. Now, a lot of your kids too are very old souls, and they're really good at sending you signs. So they send you stuff that you're almost in shock and having a hard time believing this is them. But yes, they're that good. So let's give them the credit for that, because they are that good. But a lot of things on Earth are easier for them to blend their energy with. So coins, butterflies, hummingbirds, there's a lot of similar signs that people will get, because what they do is on an energetic level, they connect with the butterfly, the bird, and they say, can I blend with you so you can fly past my mom or my dad or my grandma or my sister right now? And they will know that I'm around. And usually there is an energetic exchange, and it feels like a burst of energy for this living creature. And they're like, sure. And so a lot of the times your loved ones are sending you signs like that. And that's how they send you the animals. It's not that grandma's the butterfly or whoever, it's just that they're blending their energy to let you know that they're around. Feathers are really easy for them to use as signs. I don't know how they do it, but poof, there they are. I mean, I find feathers all the time in places where I'm like, where did this come from? And I'm sure a lot of you are too. So the first thing for connecting with your kids, look for the signs. They're going to be there. They're going to be the ones that you understand, and don't discount it. So one time I had a parent say to me like, well, what if that's not my feather, or it's not for me and it's not from my kid? I said, it doesn't hurt anyone if you think this is your feather and it's for you, right? And your kids, the more that you can acknowledge like, hey, thank you for the feather. Thank you for the coin. Thank you for flickering the lights. The stronger connection you'll have with your kid, because it's an energy channel. So you're saying, oh, thank you, I received it. And it makes it bigger and bigger and bigger. And the more you do that, the more you connect. Okay, a couple of tools that I want to talk about with you, because really you all have the ability to connect with your kids, period. It's just that simple. With your parents, your loved ones, your friends, whoever, your angels, your life guides, you do. One of the tools we use, so I've done a study at IONS at the Institute of Noetic Sciences, and I also did a study here in Phoenix and Scottsdale with another doctor where they do EEGs on me while I'm doing readings. There are two things we found. Most mediums are in either theta or delta brain waves. So that's going to be the 4 to 7 hertz zone, or the 1 to 4 hertz. And so binaural beats or hemisync or something like this, if you would start listening to that maybe 10 minutes a day, pick a tone that sounds soothing to you. You can find them on YouTube. You can find them, I think you can buy programs for it, but you can do it for free or you can pay money. Either way. Here's the thing, we want to start training your brain to go to theta and delta, because that's where we are when our loved ones are communicating the easiest with us. So some of this is, meditation, all of that. You can do meditation as far as sitting quietly if that works for you. But a lot of times my clients will say like, I can't sit quietly. And I'll say, that's okay. Because throughout the day, your soul builds in natural points for you to meditate, whether that's the hot shower, whether that's when you're driving the car and your mind goes blank, whatever this is, going for your walk, going for a run, your mind, your body, your soul naturally gives you meditation points throughout the day, but add in the binaural beats or the hemisync for the theta and delta waves. That's where you're going to start getting a lot more messages. And I'm going to tell you, don't do it for 3 hours a day. It's more important that you do it 10 minutes every day. The consistency will help you get there faster than just diving all in for one whole day and then nothing for 3 weeks. The other thing I want to talk to you about is with your kids. Sorry, I'm looking down because I'm checking my notes. I don't want to miss anything. So you got to think of connecting with your kids, your angels, your loved ones, your life guides, all of that is like a radio. Think of it as an old-fashioned radio. It's all energy. It's all a wavelength. It's all playing all the time. So even though right now we're not listening to the AM station, it's still playing, right? All we would have to do is flip the switch on the radio to hear it and to tune in. So think of this as an old-fashioned radio. When you want to connect with your angels, we're going to tune to channel 111, or your loved ones, whatever channel and number. So we're targeting the energy. So we're setting an intention. With this intention, I'm going to connect with my child, with my angel, with my mom, whoever this is, okay? When you're doing this, you got to be ready to tune in. So don't go in there with the idea of, I can't do this, it never works for me, it always works for them. That's going to lower your energy going into it. So go into it lighthearted and playful, because as we raise our vibration, it makes it easier for spirit to connect to us. So if you can do it in a fun way, in a laughter way, that's the best way to connect. But either way, try to do it at a highest level vibration possible. So basically your mood, when you're in a good mood, in a playful mood, in a laughter mood. I want to tell you, there's something called psychometry. So some mediums will use this. They'll say, you know, bring me your loved one's shirt, bring me your loved one's picture, bring me something of theirs to connect and tune into. That's because energy is real. And if it was something that they owned, then their energy is on it. So this is also a tool you can use. So it might be that you want to have their shirt or their ring or their watch or a picture of them near you while you're doing this, because really their energy is on that, and that will heighten your ability to connect. So start with your playful imagination, okay? The next thing we're going to do when you're connecting with your loved ones is we're going to go to one of two places in your mind. So I want you in your mind to create a sacred space. What does this look like? My sacred space, so you can create yours however you want, is actually on this phenomenal beach, the one I was on with my dog. And I have this amazing white couch sitting there. And when I want to go to connect with my angels, my loved ones, my life guides, I go to this sacred space. And I know that they're gonna meet me there. And I can actually even smell it. I can smell the ocean. So I want you to think about creating your sacred space. Now, here's the other thing though. When I connect with my mom, it's harder for me to connect with her in my sacred space than it is to go to her living room in my mind, where she would sit on the couch and we would talk. So sometimes when we're connecting with a specific loved one, it's easier to go back in time to their room, the living room, or the place that you feel really connected to them. Both work. You just need to find which one works for you. Okay, so with my mom, I immediately go to her living room. With my angels, my life guides, I go to the sacred space that I have built in my mind. And this is something that I want you to really go into detail with. I want you to imagine, what does it smell like? What is the air temperature? Do I have pictures up? What does it look like? So the more you create this sacred space, the more solid it will be. And the easier it will be for you to get yourself there in your mind, and for your loved one, your angels, your life guides to connect with you there. Okay, you want to invite them in. You want to make a date with your loved one. Thursday night at 5 o'clock in the sacred space. Let's go. I'll see you there. Because I promise you, they will be there. I promise you, they're going to be all around you and ready. They are. So it's not about them not being there. It's just about us tuning in. And so sometimes when I do group readings, I don't get to everyone. It's not because everyone's loved one isn't there. It's just because I'm drawn to other people or whatever this reason is. So just know though, your loved ones are always around you. I also want to tell you, one of the best tools I have found is music. Because have you ever heard that song and it takes you right back to that moment, right? Whatever this song is, music is a phenomenal tool that literally transports us through time. 1 second you're in Target shopping, the next second you're back 15 years ago at whatever, the high school dance, or having the, you know, fun with your girlfriend, or whatever this looks like, right? So music is an amazing tool. I would tell you there's two different ways to do this. Some people just like quiet spa type music. Other people like almost a playlist with their favorite songs that help them connect to their loved ones or make them think about that. So use music as a tool when you're getting ready to do this. That's really going to be helpful. The next thing that I'm going to tell you, a little bit I talked about earlier, they may communicate differently. So you might want to see your loved one and want to hear their voice. And that's very natural. We always want to hear our loved one's voice, but they might not be in a place where they're able to manifest their voice for you quite yet. So you might get feelings, you might get pictures in your mind, you might just feel energy, you might feel tingling, you might see colors. So they're going to communicate with you differently depending on where they are in their ability to communicate and where you are in your ability to receive. Having said that, I just want to share this quick story with you. After my mom transitioned, so it was about 3 days after she transitioned, I was on the phone with the church because I wanted to see if the reception room was open after her service. And they said, you know, it's 5 o'clock, Michelle. We're going to just put you through to voicemail and get back to you tomorrow. So I said, okay. So they put me through the voicemail and I hear the message. And all of a sudden I hear static and then silence. And I hear my mom say, hello, and then silence, static, and the message started again. It literally shook me. I was on the ground, crying, sobbing. I could not believe it because it was truly her voice. As a medium, I hear most of your loved ones speaking to me in my head. My mom's voice came out of my iPhone. I was just like, this is amazing. And my mom didn't even know how to work her phone when she was here in a body. Like she couldn't even like change the, you know, the calendar or anything on it. So I was like, oh my gosh. So here's the thing. I've thought about that. And what I realized, and this is really not just a message for me, it's a message for all of you, was that my mom had one word to give me in that moment that she was able to sneak through and get in. And it was hello. It wasn't goodbye, wasn't see ya, wasn't good luck. You know, it wasn't anything along those lines. And so I want you to know, look for the hellos from your loved ones, from your kids, from your family, because it's always about the hello. They know there is no such thing as goodbye. So look for the hellos. I want you to think about when you go into this sacred room, because in a few minutes, I'm going to give you time to think about it. And then we're actually going to go in there and I'm going to talk you through a meditation. I want you to think about this. For a long time, I said to my mom, I was like, Mom, I can't feel you. And it was really frustrating. I'm like, how can I read for people I don't even know and nail it with their loved ones? And I can't even feel my own mom. And my mom said to me, she said, Michelle, she's like, you are focusing on your love for me, so projecting out, but you never give yourself the chance to receive my love for you. So it was like I was sending out a signal, but I was never opening up my heart, my mind, my soul to being the sponge to receive her love for me. And I think that's really common. But I will tell you, when I was able to start switching that, and instead of going to the point of just sending out my love for her, actually sitting there in the sacred space and connecting with her and opening up to receive her love for me, it absolutely took me to the next level of being able to connect with her. So that's going to be one of the things I want you to think about tonight as we're working through connecting with your kids. Okay. So I want everyone to take a deep breath. Get a drink of water, whatever you need to do. You might want to turn off your camera if you want, because we're going to do a little meditation. So get comfortable. Okay. Stretch out, whatever you need to do. All right. Taking a deep breath in. Close your eyes. I want you to start picturing your sacred space. We're not connecting with your loved ones yet. I just want you to start looking around. I want you to notice, what does the room look like? Or are you outside? Do you hear birds or animals? Is there sound? Do you hear ocean waves or a stream? I want you to notice, what does the ground feel like under your feet? Is it hard? Is it soft? Are you in a room? Are you outside? Taking in a deep breath as you relax into this space. I want you to feel the temperature of the air around you. Do you feel a breeze? Is it cool? Is it warm? Is the sun shining? Is it coming in through the windows, or are you outside and you're feeling it on your skin? Taking in a deep breath, and as you exhale, I want you to exhale any stress that you're feeling in your body or your mind right now. Feel yourself sinking in deeper and deeper. And in your mind, look around at this sacred space. Are there pictures, animals? What does it look like? Noticing any sounds. Is there a breeze? Taking in a deep breath of peace. And as you exhale, exhale stress. Taking in a deep breath of God's love for you. And exhaling the thoughts that no longer serve your highest good. Taking in a deep breath of clarity. And exhaling fog. And breathing in the connection with your loved one. Knowing that they are right here, right now. And I want you to see your loved one now standing in front of you. I want you to see them as the youngest, healthiest, brightest version you remember. I want you to see the light in their eyes. I want you to see the glow of health on their skin. I want you to look at them and actually really see that their soul is whole, that they are whole, healthy, healed, and complete. Sitting for a moment, basking in their glow. And now I'd like you to place both hands on your heart. And I want you to see them placing their hands on their heart. And I want you to see in your mind, to visualize this beautiful love that you share with them and that they have for you as literally hearts of energy. And I want you to start sending these energetic hearts from your heart to their heart. And I want you to start receiving the energetic hearts of love that they are sending to you. You are having an energetic exchange of love with your loved one right now. And I want you to breathe that in and see it continue to happen. You're connecting on that heart level, which is eternal. Feeling that love spreading throughout your body because you're receiving their love and sending your love to them. I'm going to give you a minute to sit with this visual. And at the same time, I want you to be open to anything your loved one might say, any smells you might smell, any pictures they might drop in your mind, any feelings that they might give you. And take a moment to sit here in this energetic connection of love. And when you're ready, I want you to feel yourself coming back into your body, knowing that this is a place that you can come to at any point in time, that your loved ones will always meet you here. And that as the two of you practice this, the messages, the sights, the sounds, the love connection will only continue to get stronger and increase. And when you're ready, start wiggling your fingers, your toes, coming back into your body. I want you to know you just had an energetic exchange with your loved one. And this is yours. This is your soul's rightful gift. We all have this. And so this is a place that as you practice more and you work with the binaural beats and you start really training your brain, you're going to be able to go here and you're going to be able to get bigger messages, and more information. Your loved ones will always meet you when you give them the opportunity.
That was beautiful, Michelle. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for leading us in that meditation. And there are a few questions and we have a little bit of time left. And one of the main questions, and I think that everyone's wondering this as well, is how you were so fortunate to have these three amazing experiences. I know that probably at the time they didn't seem like amazing because they were actually very dangerous as well. But could you maybe tell us why you think those happened to you and what their purpose was, and the reason that they did happen three times to you?
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's a great question. So I felt like I had mediumship abilities at 12 when my grandfather transitioned, but I just kind of shut them down and turned them off and kept them for myself. And what I have found over the years now with the life lessons I've had is that God, source, the universe, divine is always trying to get our attention and always trying to give us a direction. And I felt like these were wake-up calls for me. So I felt like truly the first one was like, hey, Michelle, look, it's your grandma and an angel. There's more to life. There's more to life. There's more for you. Angels are real. And then in the second one, I was able to realize like, oh my goodness, Jesus is real. We call it miracles, right? But since I've been a medium, Spirit tells me, Michelle, humans call them miracles. We call them happenings. When they happen, it's not a miracle to us. Like every human has that right and that ability to receive what you call miracles. And so I felt like that was another wake-up call. And then once again, I decided to slide back in and just go into being a stay-at-home mom and not give into it. And then by the time I got to the third one, it was really like a kind of a, look, Michelle, if you're going back, like we're done playing around, like it's real now, this is real. And so I really felt like I learned the hard way. I don't feel like we have to learn the hard way. I just felt like so often the universe would give me signs, nudges, pushes, and I ignored it for whatever reason. And at this point, they were like, hey, we've got to get your attention. There's more here. Because here's what's so important about all of my near-death experiences, my phone calls from my mom. I'm not different from you guys. If my angels, my life guides, my loved ones are around me, yours are too. And so really the message for you is that we are not living this life alone. And it's very important for me to share that because it's an illusion when we feel that way. And I'll also tell you, this is really important, especially with COVID over this last year. So often I've had people say to me, my loved one died alone. And I have to tell you, it's not true. I don't care if you're in the middle of the Sahara Desert by yourself. No one dies alone. You are surrounded by your loved ones and your angels and your life guides. And you're never on that journey alone, just like we're not on this human journey alone. So I feel like it was extreme, the way I had to really step into myself and who I am. But I really actually feel like that was what it was about. And at the end, that last near-death experience, I could no longer come back and deny what I knew or what I needed to do.
That's beautifully said. And it makes it much more understandable. I think that if we see things that we need to start doing, the message that you're giving us is go for it instead of hesitating, because that's what all of our loved ones in spirit and our spirit guides want us to do. Um, I just want to tell you about the meditation. People are saying that was awesome. I could smell his hair.
Oh,
I
I
started to cry. Me too. I cried also. I cried, but obviously good cries. I smelled sand. I was drawn to a place on his heart and his on mine. I miss my boy so deeply. Suddenly gone at 33. Um, Thank you, Michelle. This was beautiful. God bless you and thank you so very much. Much love for what you do and so grateful. I hugged my son. That was beautiful. Thanks so much. I badly needed that. Thank you. That was very much needed. I see memories in the meditation. I have to get to where I see him, but not from just pictures. That was very helpful and beautiful. So same person is saying that. And then Sherry's asking a question about the binaural beats, sounds, and the hemisync. Do you have any favorite sites that you would suggest, or just kind of Google it? Or
yeah.
have you recorded any yourself? Have you done any of that?
I haven't done it yet. Honestly, my favorite outlet for that is YouTube, because you can type in binaural beats, delta, or theta, and it will give you hundreds of options. So it's just about finding the tone that sounds right to you, because they're all different. They're in the music. So it's not like you're just listening to a tone for 20 minutes, but YouTube is the best one I found. It's free. You have hundreds, thousands probably of options, and find the one that works for you and then play around with that. So the other thing I want to say, two things I want to say on that: consistency is going to really help you grow this. Tonight, we did it really quick so that you would all get a basic idea of what you want. But if you set aside 5 to 10 minutes a day to work on this, you are going to find it is amazing. The connection is going to come in so much clearer and stronger for you. The other thing that I'm really feeling like I need to say to you is this: I know that every single one of you, and I have 3 kids, loved your child enough to die for them, because that's how we feel as parents. And I know that, and I can feel that. And I want you to know your kids know that. But more importantly, your kids say, I want you to love me enough to live for me and to honor your life and to keep going. Because as you are experiencing life and enjoying things, whether it's the cupcake you're eating for them on their birthday, or whatever this is, whether it's the walk on the beach, they get to experience that still with you. They do. And they get to experience every moment. You will not be walking through this life alone or without them. So the biggest thing you can do to honor your kids is to continue to live so that they get to live vicariously through you and experience those amazing moments with you.
That's beautiful, Michelle. I just have to say, Michelle, let's see. Melissa is saying, I cried so deeply. I believe it was a healing. The place and my son was so real and so beautiful. And just continuing on, there's a link that one of the members put for the monroeinstitute.org. That's a good place to go for hemisync. I think that is something that you have to pay for, though. Mary is saying, you brought me peace tonight. Thank you. Melissa is saying, you have a beautiful gift. This is an amazing place to start for the right tone. So she's the person who had put about the Monroe Institute is saying that this is an amazing place. Thank you so much. You are such a beautiful soul. You just made me cry. Thank you so much. Your information will change many lives. Thank you. God bless you. I very much needed to hear that right now. OMG, this message touched my wounded heart. Bless you, Michelle. I feel Emily wherever I go. And so I think that what's really important is that if people have not been able to catch all of the information that you said in your presentation, it will be on YouTube so everyone can watch it again. I think that probably I'd like to listen to the meditation again and maybe put earphones on, because it'll be even nicer that way. And I also just want to say that we are very grateful, Irene and I, because Michelle is going to be presenting at our first conference and doing readings. And she's planning to come, not first, it was going to be the second one at the time. She's going to be at the one in Phoenix, which is wonderful. And it's not very far for her either. She lives in Gilbert, so it's very close to where she is. So we're very grateful for that. So all of you will hopefully be able to meet her in person. And she is gorgeous and she's beautiful inside and out. So thank you all for being here. Do you have a few final words for us, Michelle? We have about 3 minutes left.
Yeah.
Anything you'd like to say?
First of all, I just want to tell you, it's truly an honor and a pleasure to connect with each of you tonight. It really is. And I just want you to be open to the signs and to connecting with your child, because I promise you, they are all around you and they will send you as many signs as they can. I want you to know, sometimes people have asked me like, well, how come you got a choice? Maybe my child got a choice and chose not to come back or something like that. That's not what happens. That's not what happens. I want you to know, I feel like your kids in their right mind, in their right bodies, in their wholeness would always choose to be with you just like they are right now. I don't know the details, right, about how near-death experiences work, except for only what I know about mine. And I feel like it really was happening on 3 levels: my human level, my soul level, and then this much higher level, this higher level of source, God, the divine. And so I do feel like for me personally, there had a, like the human Michelle said, okay, I'm coming back. I see my kids. My soul said, okay, I'm coming back. I'll do the mediumship work you want me to do. And then there was this higher level of source, which said, okay, like you get 2 stamps of approval, you can stay. So it's not always about whether we get the choice to stay or go. I truly believe in a higher power that does call us home when it's time to go home. But most importantly, what you need to know is they're home and they are safe and they are whole and they are at peace and they are healthy. And I always think as a mom, the most important thing to me is if my kid is not with me, are they okay where they are, right? Whether that's at a friend's house or across the country or whatever that is. And so I want to tell you, from mom or a parent to a parent, your child is better than okay. And they're going to do everything they can to send you signs and connect with you.
That's beautiful. Yes, they are happy, healthy, and home, and we're still in school. And you are helping us to learn how to communicate with them and helping us to know what we need to do as we move forward. And then at some point, meet them again, but not right away. Obviously, we've got lots of stuff we need to do. So anyway, thank you so much, Michelle. And as always, we always make sure that people can unmute and say thank you and goodbye. So if you all would like to do so, please do so and say.
Oh, God bless you. Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
This is
Michelle.
incredible. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.